Hey guys, welcome back to Reignite It, and I'm so excited to be starting in on this project. A lot of you guys already know this truck from the channel. This is a truck I call Identity Crisis. It's a 1986 Chevy C10 that has a 392 HEMI in it, and it's actually fairly rowdy. I put a manual transmission behind this thing, and it ran at best a 12.4 at the racetrack.
With a little bit of throttle in a bottle, run 733.
1248. Probably makes somewhere around 400 wheel horsepower-ish, somewhere in there. But we're gonna turn this thing way up. And in fact, this is going to be the final evolution of this truck, what I always wanted it to be. We're gonna be putting twin turbos on this thing to make quite a bit more power. We're gonna 4-link the rear, and we're going to be putting an 8 HP automatic transmission in this thing. It's going to be much, much quicker than it was previously. I'm super excited about it. I hope you guys are too. Let's get into it. Okay, I've already removed a lot of the ancillary components here, so this engine is ready to come out of the truck. The reason we're removing this engine is because this one is largely a stock 392 truck block. The only thing I've done here is it's got a Texas Speed Stage 3 camshaft in it, got some Scat Pack valve springs, hardened push rods, but that's it. It's completely stock other than that, so nothing really special here, and it just wouldn't hold up to the power of the twin turbo setup. So we need to swap it out with an engine that's going to hold up to that power a lot better. And that's where this engine comes into play. This is also a 392 engine out of an SRT Grand Cherokee, but this one has been significantly upgraded. Now, many of you who watched the channel before will know that this engine came out of my twin charged Magnum. Had an 05 Dodge Magnum that I supercharged and turbocharged. And it was actually super fun on the street, was a blast to drive around, but every single time I took this thing to the track, it had a problem. Culminating in the last time out, I went ahead and bent a, bent a connecting rod here, and that kind of made me a little bit done with the car. So this is what we're gonna do with it instead. This engine is gonna go in this truck. Now this one, the bottom end is set up in this thing to handle over 1,000 wheel horsepower. This thing has the forged crank that comes stock, but also forged rods and pistons. We have ARP head studs. We have a Texas Speed Stage 4 boost cam. We've got some upgraded valve springs in here, hardened push rods. So this engine can well hold up to the power we're trying to make. So that might beg the question, what power are we trying to make? Well, we're not trying to go crazy here. I want to keep this thing semi-reliable. So 750 wheel is kind of my goal. So we're almost going to be doubling the wheel horsepower that this truck already makes. So if it ran a 12.4 at the track before, I want to knock 2 full seconds off of that time. I want to run mid to low 10s with this truck. That's the overall goal, which in the land of the internet isn't that crazy, but in real life, that's an extremely fast vehicle, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to drive this thing. One of the other major upgrades we're going to be doing to this truck is we're getting rid of that factory 10-bolt rear end and the leaf spring suspension, and we're swapping it with a Ford 8.8 rear axle, and we're going to be building a custom 4-link suspension for it. The Ford 8.8 has proven itself as far as strength. There's a lot of aftermarket upgrades available for it. And for the 4-link, I'm just very excited about maximizing this truck as far as being able to get the most amount of traction it possibly can to get down the drag strip. One of the major issues I had with my 2005 Dodge Magnum is I could never get the thing to hook up at the track. And one of the reasons for that is because I never built it to go down the drag strip. That was never in my mind. It was always just going to be an interesting street machine that had some cool tech on it, which it was. It drove on the street really well, made a ton of power, did a lot of burnouts and everything. But again, every single time I took it to the track, it was quite the disappointment. I'm trying to avoid that this time around. This truck, I'm being very intentional about how I'm building this thing. I want to maximize it at the track so that when I do take it there, it just goes and does its thing and performs well. That's both for me and for you guys. I know you'd like to see some real results from one of my projects, so that's the goal this time around. That's enough talking for now. Let's get this engine yanked out of here and get the built engine installed. Now, as tempting as it was to drop that new engine right into place where the old one was, that wasn't going to work for me. And the reason why is because I need to make a change. I wanted to mount the engine about a ½ inch higher than it used to be. Now, that could have been a fairly easy change with the engine mounts, but in all reality, I wanted to redo them anyway because I just really never liked the look of the ones that I had built before. They were fine for the time, but that was 5 years ago. I'm a little bit more skilled now. I have some newer tools that allow me to have a more professional finish. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I built this new set of engine mounts that can place the engine exactly where I want it to. I know it's going to be dead even side to side, so I'm excited about these. These are very beefy. These are made out of 1/4 inch plate. It doesn't need to be that strong, but why not if you have the material? Let's go ahead and get these things bolted to the new engine, get that thing dropped in and see if I measured correctly. As many of you already know, I've been a Dodge technician for the last 16 years, and as such, my toolbox at work is full of very expensive tools, oftentimes ones that I didn't feel like were quite worth the money. One of the things I've really enjoyed about the industry in this last few years specifically is that there is such a rise of aftermarket companies coming up to kind of fill that void and offer really good tools at much more competitive pricing. So I was in need of some torque wrenches here for my home shop. I was contacted by a company called Lexivon. They said, hey, we got some stuff. We'd love to send you it out and at least just try it out, see what you think about it. So I took them up on that. I went ahead and got their array of torque wrenches that they have, a couple of wobble sockets, some adapters, and also a spark plug socket here. I really like these wobble style that have the magnet in here. Definitely a good addition to anybody's toolbox. Now you'll be seeing these throughout the episodes here. You'll be seeing me use them here and there, but so far I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I enjoy the fact that these wobble sockets are impact rated along with their adapters are impact rated. The torque wrenches are all a click style design, so they're not super fancy as far as having like a torque to angle or anything like that. So understand that, but also realize that the price reflects it. I think these are they seem to be of a decent quality. Everything is pre-calibrated when they send it out, and they do offer a limited lifetime warranty on a lot of their products. So definitely take a look at that. As I mentioned, I went for their full array of torque wrenches here. We have the ½ inch, the 3/8, and the 1/4 inch. Guys, don't sleep on the 1/4 inch torque wrench. You will actually use that a lot more than you might think that you would. In fact, on our project C10 here, I have to actually remove the valve body here shortly, get that sent out. When it goes back in and I reinstall it, I will definitely be using this 1/4 inch inch-pound torque wrench to reinstall that. Make sure it's done properly. Now this thing has a range from 20 to 200 inch-pounds. The 3/8 one goes from 10 foot-pounds up to 80 foot-pounds, and the ½ inch one goes from 25 foot-pounds to 250 foot-pounds. So these three together, you can buy them all, and it's really not that expensive to get the whole trio here, and that'll cover most of your needs. Now they did offer me an affiliate link for these tools. You'll see that up here and also in the description down below. Know that if you buy tools using that link, I'll probably get a couple of bucks out of it, but don't let that sway you in any way whatsoever. I want you guys to give these tools an honest shot to see what you think about them as well. For myself personally, I know that these big brand tools, the prices have just gotten so completely out of hand that in most cases, it just doesn't make sense when you have a lot of these more economically friendly alternatives that are available and will do the job just as well. But that's just my opinion about it. I'd love to hear you guys. So definitely a big thank you to Lexivon for sending out these tools. I can't wait to put them to work. Let's get back to work on the C10. You know, I can't begin to tell you guys how satisfying that is to basically do some basic math, draw it up, cut it out, weld it together, put it on the vehicle, and it literally just drops right into place. That feels really good. We do have one minor fitment issue, and it was something that I was expecting to happen because I was raising up the engine. The very back corner of the engine on the driver's side, cylinder number 7, the coil pack is going to interfere with the brake booster. So we're gonna have to do something there, but I think the trade-off is worth it to raise it up to get that room for those turbo manifolds. So I don't think it's gonna be a huge deal to find some sort of solution to get some clearance on that brake booster. All right, you guys, this is the transmission we're going to be using for this project. This is an AHP70 out of a Ram 1500 two-wheel drive. These are kind of becoming the go-to move in a lot of drag racing applications because these transmissions are known to support quite a bit of power, even in stock form. We're gonna run this one essentially unchanged except for changing the torque converter on it. That's pretty much all I'm gonna do. I really wanna see what the limits are of this thing in stock form, but it should hold up pretty well for what we're trying to do. Now it's kind of interesting with this truck, the transition it's been through, because I believe it came with a turbo 350, not entirely certain about that, but essentially a 3-speed automatic, and then I converted it to a manual and put a 5-speed manual transmission in there. Now we're converting it back to automatic, and it has 8 speeds. So really the next obvious transition after this would be go back to manual with an 18-speed from a semi-truck, right? No, I think this is going to be a fantastic upgrade. I'm really excited about it because there's some really neat stuff you can do with these transmissions, including the fact that essentially you have a built-in trans brake with these things just using software. So again, going to be very repeatable at the track, very consistent, and I think it's going to be a great upgrade. Now, because I'm kind of a transmission nerd, I mean, that is my primary specialty as a Dodge technician, is transmissions. I kind of want to drop you guys into some of the nomenclature here that they use for transmissions. I like the way that Chrysler does it because their numbers actually make sense. So take this transmission, for instance, 8 HP 70. Well, 8 is how many speeds it has. HP is just a series of transmission, and then 70 is the torque rating. So you guys know, if you hear about a Hellcat or a Dodge Demon, they have an 8 HP 90 or 8 HP 95. So obviously those have a higher torque rating than this transmission. But let's bring it home for a lot of you guys that have other transmissions. Let's say you have a diesel Cummins engine. Well, you're probably going to have a 68 RFE transmission. So the 6 is how many speeds it has. The 8 is your torque rating, and then RFE stands for rear-wheel drive, fully electronic. So everything means something, and it's actually pretty straightforward. Let's take it way back and go to like the old PT Cruiser. They had what's called a 41 TE transmission. So 4 speeds, torque rating of 1, and T is transverse because the engine is sideways, and electronic, so 41 TE. So actually, I do like the way Chrysler does their numbering system for their transmissions. You can actually get a lot of information out of it. For us right now though, all we're doing at this point in time is we're gonna go ahead and mock the transmission up into place. This is not our final installation, but I do need to build a transmission cross member. As soon as I have that built, then I can start building the full twin turbo kit, which I cannot wait for. So I gotta get this done and get this out of the way so I can get into the really fun stuff. All right, this is looking really good. We've got good clearance here. Tough to see, but there's enough clearance there to the floor. Actually, it helped the area that I cut out before for the stick shift portion. So anyway, good clearance on this side as well. So yeah, all right, we're looking good. Now I just need to build a transmission cross member for it. All right, you guys, I'm sure there's a few of you out there who already know what I'm talking about when I say that sometimes your OCD can come back to bite you. And in this particular case, remember how just a few moments ago I was talking about how excited I was because I knew that that engine was perfectly centered within the frame rails and everything was nice and even. And then I put the transmission on and I was building a transmission mount for it, and I'm like, hey, why is the transmission over to the left about an inch? I was like, I can't figure this out. Well, as it turns out, GM from the factory installed the engines 1 inch shifted over to the right. How frustrating is that? And you can even tell because looking back at the firewall itself, you can see that the engine is not centered with the firewall. It's perfectly centered within the frame rails of the chassis itself, but not square with the firewall. So that combined with the fact that the transmission is not perfectly centered, it's just too much for me to ignore. So I need to pull this thing back out, and I made up some new engine mounts that is going to shift the engine to the right 1 inch like it was from the factory, and now hopefully center our transmission properly. Let's get into it. Kind of hard to see from the video, but maybe you can tell that looking at the firewall, the center of the firewall is more like right here, and then the center line of the transmission is right here. All right, in a matter of seconds for you and hours for me, I have everything redone. You can see the transmission is much more in line now. I think we're good to go now. Remade all of the mounting points here. Those are all good. Ended up completely remaking those engine mounts to shift the engine over that 1 inch, and that seems to have done the trick. Very much happier with this setup now. It's a lot of work, but we do want to get it right. And now looking from the top side here, we may in fact be able to sneak a coil pack into here without changing that booster. That would be nice. I don't really feel like spending money on changing that because it works just fine with no problem. Ho ho ho! Indeed we can. All right, well, that's good news. That's at least something. And again, a little tough to tell on video, but I think it's much more centered now with the firewall. I think the thing looks like it's actually centered in the vehicle, regardless of what the frame rails say. It was important to get all of that wrapped up because now that the engine and transmission are in their final place, I can start in on my favorite part of the build, and that's going to be the twin turbo kit. I love building turbo kits. It's just so much fun. You could be so creative with them. And this one I think is going to turn out really cool. So hope you guys are ready for that, but that's going to have to wait for the next episode. We'll see you guys next time on Reignited.